Hello there, Pickles. Today I thought I would answer your questions. I put out the call on Instagram at Stephen H. Hussey if you want to go and follow me. And I'm going to have a good old rummage through the DMs and just go through the questions, see what ones come up. Let's have a little bit of fun. Okay, what is the best way to overcome imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome, for those of you who don't know, is the feeling you're in a job, a career, a relationship, and you feel like you don't belong. You feel like you are a fraud. I think that imposter syndrome can be a very good sign. It's usually a sign that you are on the cusp of where your skill set lies, that you are skating at the limits of where your abilities are, and that usually is where you're growing. So if something feels a little bit out of your reach, it's probably a sign that that's something you should move towards, where you are going to learn. If you do great at it, then it's going to be a wonderful success. Even if you don't, you're probably going to pick up a lot of useful skills and things you need along the way. So if you kind of feel that tug of like, this might be a bit too big for me, I'm not sure I belong here, I think a lot of the time you just lean into that and remind yourself of the past, of all the compliments or accomplishments you've had before, times when you felt nervous in the past and you proved that you were capable. So even if you want to be geeky about it and file away a bunch of nice emails you've received or, you know, accolades you've got, like list them all down on a Word document, just even little things where you managed to achieve that task, you finished that project, you got that degree, whatever it is, and you can kind of look back and go, oh yeah, I've done lots of hard things before, so I can do hard things again. And then just fake it. That's what everyone else does. Okay, how do you get over / past date burnout? I guess you mean dating burnout. So for those of you who are brand new to this channel and just stumbled across this, I, for the last 10 years, have written about dating and relationships with my brother Matthew Hussey. Go and check out his YouTube channel. There's stuff of us chatting together, talking about love, dating, romance, all that stuff. So dating burnout usually comes when you are probably over-investing in people that you're not very interested in. Maybe you're being too free with your schedule and you're dating loads of people that just you're not interested in at all, and so you're getting bored, you're feeling like this is a massive drain on your time and energy. So be a little more selective about who you actually give your time to in the beginning. So you can be very open about who you meet, but be very selective about who you give your time to. And also, I think it's important to just come at dates with a sense of curiosity, like not always results driven, but just how can I have fun here? How can I just be curious? How can I just decide I'm gonna learn something about someone new today? And just keep it short. Like keep it short and something you'd like to do anyway. So, you know, if you like to walk and just grab a coffee, make it like half an hour, that's fine. You don't have to do 3 hours drinks and dinner date every time. Just keep it short and simple. You can always decide later if you want to spend more time with that person, but try and do something you would do anyway in your daily life and just make it something you can just add in. And you can always later put on the brake, pull back, say, I want to take a week or two off of this because it's getting too much now, and just kind of adjust the brakes and acceleration as much as you want. How to make a good impression in an interview. It's been a while since I've done an interview of any kind. I've been on both sides of the table over the years. I've interviewed people and I've been interviewed myself. I think the key, the things I see that make for a bad interview is just lack of enthusiasm, arrogance. Some people I've seen have cold emailed our company before and they say, hey, here's 5 things you guys are really doing wrong right now. And they list all these things where they like insult a bunch of the parts of your business and like, but you can hire me and I'm gonna be great. Don't start like that. Usually if you start by insulting someone's company, it puts you on a very bad foot and it makes you seem like, you know, they've probably thought of a lot of the things you're talking about. They're probably aware of a lot of the mistakes. It's much better to present yourself as someone who is going to solve a problem, who's like, hey, I think I can help you guys double your growth. I think I can help you guys, you know, get more sales or get more leads or more opt-ins or whatever. I think I can do this with these skills. This is what I've learned. If you are more approach it just from showing your competence and in an enthusiastic way, like, I think what you do is great and I'd love to be involved and here's how I think I can help. I think that attitude gets you very far rather than, I'm the shit, I'm really good and let me show you guys how it's done. I think people like to put that posture out on Twitter and stuff, but it just always reads badly, it looks dumb, and it actually makes you look less competent because it makes you look like you're overcompensating. So I think curiosity, enthusiasm, humility, but showing your competence and where you can add value. Okay, how to write compelling blog posts. Well, I've blogged for the last 10 years. Blogging, you always have to think that people who read blogs are usually time poor in that their attention span is very low, and they've got tons of choice. So you've kind of got to really give them the takeaway quickly, up front, make it efficient, make it punchy. You want it to be information rich, the blog you're writing, but in as efficient space as possible. Work on your titles really hard. Make sure the title is really benefit-led. Try writing out 10 titles when you've got your subject, because the title's going to make a lot of difference. So you really want to think carefully about whether it's captivating enough. Your first paragraph, tell stories or examples, bring it to life, get a hook at the beginning, and just make it very clear what this post is actually going to do for you. Then it's about breaking down the information. Maybe it's just here's point 1, 2, 3, or breaking up the text, subtitles, whatever you can to just make it easy for someone scrolling on their 100 tabs they have open that day. Make it easier for them to scroll down and keep rereading it, cut the fat, cut more words out, take whatever you need out until what's left is just a nutrient-rich, juicy stuff. One thing to note is there isn't any set word length for a blog post. Some people do amazing 250 word posts every day. Some people like Tim Urban on Wait But Why do these epic 20, 30,000 word blog posts that they work on for weeks or months, and they're packed with information and really compelling. So it really is up to the material to dictate how long it should be, but the same rules apply. It needs to pull the reader along, it needs to be efficient, it needs to be clear what the blog post is trying to do or talk about, and all the usual rules of writing apply. This is more of a relationship question, but what do you think of the old cliche, when you know, you know? Do you think it's true? I think relationships have a mix of intuition and rationality. I think you can look rationally at relationships and whether they're fulfilling your needs and the kind of things that are good in a relationship, but there is also just a deep intuitive sense of knowing that you feel like this person, you are just unconsciously drawn to them, you want to be with them, you feel good around them, they make you feel like you're a better person around them, and you love the way they interact with the people in your life, and you just feel like you want to build something with them, you feel like this person's going to commit on a level. So yeah, I think all of that is quite intuitive. You can be certain and wrong, but often what I've found is when people do that, they are aware of their secret doubts, but they bury them and ignore them. So there's usually a part of them that actually did have massive reservations, and they just chose to brush them aside. Okay, what are you writing about in your story? Give us a few little hints. I guess you're referring, I'm doing some fiction writing at the moment, trying to write a longer fiction piece. I don't want to talk about the subject of that because I think if you talk about something, a work in progress, too much, you can sort of talk yourself out of it, or it's usually not a good thing to be going and talking in public about it too much. So I'll just say it's about difficult relationship issues. There, that's a nice broad title. A fiction about difficult relationships. What do you believe is your true gift and purpose? I don't really have a singular gift that I think of as my gift. I tend to more think in terms of what will build a meaningful life, what will be a purposeful life. And I think of the Greeks, the ancient Greek philosophers, the virtue ethicists, who thought that the good life was about cultivating certain habits, certain traits to be a virtuous person. And, that led to a meaningful, fulfilled existence, so part of that will be in your relationships with others and cultivating fairness and justice and being generous and kind and all that stuff. And, and then developing your talents or making a contribution or, doing your work on this earth while you can. And I think all of these things kind of add up for me to a meaningful, purposeful existence. But I think it's an iterative process. You're often sharpening that, you're figuring it out, it gets clearer as you get older, you you know, chuck some things out you don't need and put other things in, and you're kind of always redressing that balance if you go too far in one direction. Yeah, and I think all of that adds purpose, brings purpose to your life. When do you know you have compromised too much in a relationship? When it becomes way too difficult to get your basic needs met. And also, John Gottman talked about a piece of relationship research that his team conducted where I think the good relationships had a ratio of 5-to-1 positive to negative interactions. And when it becomes too much skewed towards negative interactions, frequency really matters. So just repeatedly disagreeing a lot, having little annoying snipes at each other, arguments, resentments, it all builds up, leads to a very unhappy, unfulfilled relationship. If you could go back in time and give your early 20-year-old self some advice, what would it be and why? I would tell my early 20-year-old self to just take more risks. I think you have so much freedom to fail, especially when you're young. We are loss-averse creatures, irrationally so, even when the loss is only perceived and it's not really real. You know, as long as there's not serious financial well-being on the line or health, most risks are just small and worth taking. You know, if it's creative risks, putting yourself out there, trying new things, you know, doing a project that might fail, a business. I just think you can do a lot more failure. You can get away with a lot more failure than you think. So it's worth taking a lot of risks because the payoff will be huge if you get it right. If you do something amazing, the payoff is huge. So I'd probably just say take more chances. Having the confidence to date when you are overweight. I spent large periods of my childhood and adolescence overweight, and took me a long time to get control over my diet and that part of my life. But I never let it stop me from having romantic relationships or pursuing that. I think because I always, you know, even though that was an insecurity at the time, I always knew that I brought other things to the table. I had, you know, I had inner self-worth. I knew, you know, I wouldn't compromise on the kind of treatment that I thought I was entitled to. And, you know, I just had a sense of, you know, I was fortunate to have parents who instilled a sense of self-worth and confidence in me. And so, I was still able to bring that. Like, I realized that actually, if you act like a confident person, if you bring your personality to the table and, you know, you bring fun energy and all that stuff, people just kind of don't really care. People forget about that sort of thing. And, you know, with look stuff, I always think work on it as much as you can or you want to, and then you've got to just let it go. Because you're always going to think there are things you could be better with, that you could have bigger muscles, you could have, you know, less fat or whatever, you could be taller, you could be doing whatever it is. So kind of work on it as much as you need to, or to make you feel good, then just let it go, stop worrying about it. Realize that someone digs what you have. What you have is someone's cup of tea. So embrace it, look for that person, and the more you're loving what you're bringing to the table, the easier it is for someone else too. How to choose one's own path in life, especially given your academic background and how you applied that. Let's just talk about how to choose your path in life. I've talked about this before, but I think this is an ongoing iterative process. You might want something for the next 5 years, and after that you realize you want to completely 180 and do something really different. So you have to be flexible and willing to change. And, you know, but it is important to commit to things. So I think, you know, if you find something right now where you really want to build skills in that area, you think you can contribute, it's where your talents lie, you know, go in on that and build career capital, as Cal Newport calls it. Like, build some capital in that area, and you can often leverage that to other things later. But, you know, it's good to prove yourself somewhere in a field to be able to sort of parlay that into other things you might like to do later. But, you know, you kind of want to run these mini experiments, like keep trying different things. Even if you're committed to one thing, you might try a few little experiments on the side because you think, hey, maybe I'd actually love doing that if I gave it a try, and I never thought it was possible, but I'm going to try it. I think there's a lot of things we don't know about ourselves until we try them, so keep running those experiments and just watch out for conformity. You know, choosing your own life path is often a case of resisting pressures from others, from society, from friends. It's very dangerous to start just doing things because everyone else is doing them, because other people expect them, that herd-like behavior. Don't be afraid to walk in a different direction if that's what feels right for you. All right, my little pickles, that is it. Thank you so much for your questions and, you know, being here, being a part of this little community. We have a laugh, don't we? All right, see you later.